The gap between the very richest and the rest of us is getting bigger. Why? A common belief is that it's good for us all if a small group of people earn an enormous amount of money. The theory is that their wealth trickles down to the rest of us. But this is a myth. In reality, money is sucked up from all of us into the pockets of a very small group of people. How does this happen? One reason is the way that money is created. Right now, almost all of the money in our economy is created by banks when they make loans. Now, most people assume that when banks make loans, they're lending out someone else's savings. But they're not. Instead, when somebody takes out a loan, banks create new money electronically by typing numbers into their account. 97% of all the money in our economy is created in this way, as people take out loans from banks. The more loans people take, the more debt there is, and the more money there is. The shocking fact is, if nobody went into debt, there would be almost no money in the economy. Our economy depends on the electronic money created by banks. But because the money is created when people borrow, someone, somewhere, has to pay interest on every pound created. In effect, we are renting the money we need to run our economy from the banks. This means that in the UK alone, together we pay the banks £192 million in interest every single day. And because the debt is held mostly by the bottom 90% and wealth mostly by the top 10%, paying this interest transfers money from the bottom 90% of the population to the very top 10%. It sucks wealth and income from the rest of us up to the very lucky few. So as long as we have to rent the money we use from the banks that create it, we'll have to keep paying this huge interest bill, and the gap between the richest and the rest of us will keep increasing.
Well, I think if the people knew what the banking system is up to, as Henry Ford said, there would be a revolution tomorrow morning. The fact is, most people think that what a bank does is lend you money that someone else has put in the bank previously. But what a bank actually does, what a commercial bank does, is to create money from nothing and then lend it to you at interest. If I do that, if I manufacture money in my own home, it's called counterfeiting. If an accountant creates money out of nothing in the company accounts, it's called cooking the books. But if a bank does it, it's perfectly legal. And so long as you allow fraud to be legalized, then all kinds of problems are going to pop up in the economic system, which you can't do anything about.
Private banks create money out of nothing and lend it at interest. Now, that sounds absurd. When I teach sophomores, about money in banking and how banks, they never believe it. And so you have to go through it again and again. Yes, banks really do create money. They really do. Here's how it happens. And it's absurd. And they're right to doubt that could possibly be what's really going on. But it is.
Now, if the banking lobby is very strong, they're going to say, well, we don't want to change the system. We're making so much money out of it. What we have to do is, A, try and convince the people that it's their fault, that their wage claims are too high, and that's why we're having lots of inflation, or people are speculating on housing, and that's why house prices are going up. What they're not going to say is that this is happening because banks are creating money out of nothing and pumping it into the system, and that's why prices are going up.
But how is it that we've ended up with a system in which banks have the power to create money? Since 1971, when President Nixon took the United States off what was left of the gold standard, the world has operated under a system of money known as fiat. The dollar, the pound, the euro are all government fiat currencies. Fiat is a Latin word meaning let it be so. It is the law that this government currency be money. Indeed, without that legal enforcement and the fact that we must pay taxes with this money, that dollar bill or that computer digit that represents a dollar would be pretty much meaningless. Only the government has the power to issue fiat money, but banks can create it through lending. Over the last 40 years, since this system of fiat money became the global norm, the supply of money has grown exponentially. In fact, we've seen the greatest growth in the supply of money in history. But who benefits? Of course, those that have the power to issue money, governments and banks. Then, those companies and individuals that get this money early. They can spend it before the prices of the things they want to buy have risen to reflect the new money in circulation. In other words, they get services, products or assets cheap. But prices soon rise, so holders of assets such as houses or shares will then see gains without there necessarily being any improvements to the company or house in question. Often this can lead to speculative bubbles. But what about those at the bottom of the pyramid? Those on fixed wages or incomes, those who live in remote areas, or those with savings? By the time this newly created money has filtered down to them, the prices of the things they want to buy have increased. Their savings buy them less, however, and their wages remain largely unchanged. In some cases, they have to take on debt just to be able to afford the things they were previously able to buy, which means they have to go back to the banks. In reality, this process of creating money only redistributes wealth from the bottom to the top of the pyramid, and thus that ever-increasing gulf between rich and poor gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Well, when you get off the gold standard and you go into a fiat money currency, combined with a fractional reserve banking system, you end up compounding debt faster than you can ever possibly produce to support that debt. So eventually you're going to find yourself back into debt slavery. And that's what's happened in the US. For every dollar of GDP, for example, in the US, it also creates something like $5.50 worth of debt. Because this is what happens when our economy flips over and basically capsizes. And of course, the government solution now to address all the problems is basically to create more debt.
You can never get enough of a currency that doesn't work. You can print it till kingdom comes, but you can't print wealth, and you can't get yourself out of debt by making more debt. If you could print wealth, Zimbabwe would be the largest, most prosperous country on the planet. We all know it doesn't work.
Of the money in the world today, 97% of it is debt. The French philosopher Voltaire once said, "All paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value, zero."
Thank you for joining me tonight. Welcome in. I just want to show you guys why we want to become private bankers, because this fractional banking system, it depends on us. So if we're creating the money to begin with, then we need to be in a correct status as far as being a private banker to be able to do that. But tonight I'm going to be talking about the burden of proof, conditional acceptance, and notice and presentments. So I'm going to be going into detail about how you can still act in your right capacity. Even if your status is not corrected, you still can do these things, because in all actuality, you've been doing them anyway. You just aren't aware of what you've been doing. So let's get straight into it. The burden of proof, conditional acceptance, and noticing presentments. Disclaimer: this information presented in this presentation does not belong to me. I am not the creator of it, and I do not own it in any way. I am a private being that has studied various U.S. laws, codes, statutes, and Admiralty maritime jurisdiction. I am not and never would be a lawyer, legal aid, or attorney. This is not legal advice, but it is lawful. I have executed many processes for myself. The info included in this presentation should be fact-checked before executing anything. Anything you execute is at your own risk, and that alone. Studying and learning as much as you can about this process is advised, because the more you know, the more you grow. So don't just be out here blindly following anybody. Do your due diligence from the information that is provided by not just me, but anybody that you decide to listen to when it comes to this process. Go out there and just read the laws. Start looking into the law books. Get those definitions down pat. Because if this is the journey that you're choosing to take on, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your existence in this time. So You definitely want to know your stuff. The burden of proof. The burden is always on a party asserting a fact or law to prove what he asserts. It's never your job to disprove what he asserts. And that is onus probandi. Go look that up. That is Latin. And evidence. It is a general rule that the party who alleges the affirmative of any proposition shall prove it. Who must do what and why? You must understand who has the burden of proof and why it matters. If you're being sued, the other side has the burden of proof. If the other side files a motion, they have the burden of proof. But sometimes the burden shifts back and forth. Knowing who has the burden is critical. Knowing how to shift the burden is power to win. So when you're involved in court cases, and you go to their jurisdiction, their courthouse, you go inside of their courthouse, it is up to you to push that burden of proof on them. Because a lot of times we know that court operates from assumptions and presumptions, which are not fact, right? And that's legal and not lawful. So you have to push that burden on them and make them really prove. And for most of the cases, when it comes to like somebody being hurt or something like that, they do a good job when it comes to that. But a lot of people are sitting behind bars for things that they have not been able to prove. They just been ganging up on them and using their Article 3 court tactics, because that's what that is. And it's been just causing a lot of people to lose out on their freedom. Don't be victimized by lawyers tricking you into thinking the burden is yours, making you struggle to disprove a fact or the application of law, when the burden is not on you. A case-winning lawyer of 27 years has won many cases simply by forcing the court to require their opponent to put up or shut up. Think how this can be applied to foreclosure or credit card cases. See, this is why people tell you in credit repair that you want to get these companies to basically tell you who the original creditor is. And they're going to beat around the bush and try to make it seem like, especially these third-party companies that buy debt, they're going to try to make it seem like the company that you quote-unquote borrowed the loan or credit from is the true creditor. But they never give you anything showing that. So there's a standard that they have to follow that they don't follow, because a lot of people don't know that that is even a thing. So they beat around the bush and just keep sending you all of these bullshit verification letters, debt validation letters, trying to say that you owe the debt, whatever, you borrowed it, you owe it, whatever. But they never show you an original contract with 2 wet ink signatures, not only from you, but from them as well. And that is a part of a contract. If that is not in a contract, then the contract is automatically void, right? But they'll never give you the original application because they sold it. Once you signed it and you gave them your credit card number, aka your social security number, you allowed them to go inside of your trust that was set up when you were born and take whatever it is that they wanted and needed, and then turn right back around and put the finger at you and say you owe them with interest. The fractional banking system is the biggest scam in history. And as they said in the video, if the people knew that this was really going down, it would be a revolution overnight. But so many people are brainwashed, and the system did a wonderful job at doing it. And so now people don't even ask questions. They just go to jobs that they hate, work these jobs for money that is not even really money. You work in the job for useless paper, right? And you're stressing and you got to pay all of these presentments. And it's just so that they can keep us at the bottom of the pyramid, because without us, they would not exist. So the sooner that we wake up and realize that it's us that's keeping the system going and start becoming private bankers like they are, the more of us that become private bankers is going to shut them out. The system is going to be over with. Okay? Think how this can be. I already said that. A credit lender asserts his alleged debt. A credit lender asserts his alleged debtor owes, and far too often the alleged debtor spins his wheels trying to prove he doesn't owe, instead of forcing the creditor to prove what he claims or be dismissed. If you say that I owe something, then prove it. And they can't. And this is what I just said. They're going to keep trying to. This paper battle is so that you can quit. Because if you quit, then they win. It's like playing a game. You got to fight and go back and forth, and eventually you'll get what you need out of this. But these companies are not going to let up just because one of us wisened up and figured out who we are, and we're acting on it, we're standing on it. They're not going to stop doing what they're doing overnight or just be like, okay, just give them what they're asking for. No, they're going to fight you tooth and nail until you make them shut up. Accept. Do not argue. Just verify. This is the real power. Bring something to back up what you are saying. The burden of proof is on the claimant. If you rebut every point with evidence, you are arguing and will lose. Stay in honor. Accept with verification. Turn it back on them. It's not about you, it's about them. This is the maxim of the law that I just was pretty much saying without saying, but the top is Latin. But it's the burden of proof lies upon him who affirms, not he who denies. So if you're on the denying side of it, you don't have to go and prove this. They have to, and they can't. He who makes the claim provides the evidence. So, heaven forbid, if somebody says, oh, you went out and shot somebody, right? But they don't have any proof to say that you've done it. And they can't bring any evidence to the table saying that you're the one who's done that. Then what's going to happen? They have to let you go. They cannot prove that you're the person who has done that. Conditional acceptance. Living in the private can be challenging because regardless of your efforts to assert your living standing, the artificial legal person name will continue to receive demand for payment or presentments until the perpetrators tire of the game. As a result, you may find that you are living in a near constant state of stress and dispute, wasting much of your time and energy. But don't worry, because the more that I show you guys, the easier it's going to be. The more that you study, the more that you assert yourself to this journey that you've embarked on, the more that you're not going to be stressed out. The more you're going to understand or comprehend how to work with these companies and corporations to get what is rightfully yours. We often fall into dispute because we are conditioned to be defensive, right? And that's all a part of their programming that they've put upon us in their systems. And there's more than one system that they have upon us, not just the school system, even though the school system plays a very big role. This gives credibility to a false claim and places you in dishonor. The administrative courts are adversarial, depending on argument to function. And being in dishonor is guilt. So remember, I was saying these administrative courts, which are Article 3 courts, they go off of an administrative process, and they're your adversary. And their job is to get you to argue. What is your argument? So that you can come out of being honorable and become dishonorable. And once you become dishonorable, you are admitting your guilt, whether you know it or not. So acting in a way that they conditioned you to act, which is natural, is just to be a defensive. Like, what? You saying I owe this? I don't owe this. That is what's causing us to lose. And that's why it's very important for us to know who we are. And not just in a sense of, this birth certificate situation and all of that stuff, but because we need to know who we are so we can act accordingly in life, period. And this is beyond what we've been given, like religion, all of the systems, and that's a system. Religion is a system, and it's taught us how to be. And a lot of us are acting according to the programming that we received at a young age and duration of our existence. And it's now time for us to take pause in life, take a pause, and look at everything that you've done thus far and see how it's been very helpful to you. If it hasn't, which I know for most people it hasn't, then it's time for us to unlearn and relearn so that we can get on the right track and live according to how we were designed to live and not how we were programmed to live. That's two different things. Whereas acceptance of the truth and seeking the truth is honorable. And that's what we're doing now. And to those people who are still in their programming in the stupor that they put them in, when we talk about this kind of stuff, it makes them become what? Defensive. their programming goes off. So this is where you hear the saying, agent Smith. When people calling people agents, is because these agents are still under the stupor. They're still under the spell of being defensive when they hear something they do not comprehend. So us being seekers of truth, we're acting honorable, and them being defensive and upset at us, they're acting dishonorable, which is admitting their guilt in the fact that they don't have a clue what the hell we're talking about. So keep that in mind. This stuff goes very deep, and it's like a rabbit hole that never ends. So once you jump down the hole like Alice, you're going to keep falling and going deeper into it. And there's no way for you to say, I don't want to do this no more once you hit a certain level of knowledge in this, because you're in it already. If you didn't want to do this, you should have never learned 1 inch about this, because once you learn 1 inch about this, you cannot go back to just looking at life the way you did before you had this knowledge. It's impossible. You can try it, you can take a break from it, but your mind is always going to bring you back to, we got to get back on point, because I know something that most don't know. And that is really a good thing at the end of the day, that we are here. No matter how late you learned it, the fact that you are here learning this is a big deal. It is. Just think about if we had really the percentage of people who know this versus the percentage of people who don't, it will blow your mind. We are the minority right now. When you require verification, you shift the burden of proof to the claimant where it belongs, which is, I am happy to accept any lawful obligation when you verify what you say is true. Go ahead and show me your evidence. And they can't. So that's putting up or shutting up. And they can't, because these banks are working on fractional banking with fiat currency. And the only way that fiat currency can be created is with our negotiable instruments. We're giving them permission to keep printing money, which is 100% illegal. You see? All presentments to the artificial legal person name are offers of contract. So every time that you look in your mailbox and you're getting a bill, every single time you get a bill every month, you're under a contract and you're acting as the name on that presentment. And because you're acting as a name on that presentment, which is an artificial legal person, y'all should know this by now. I repeat it so much, and I'm not the only person saying this. This is a topic that I'm pretty sure is all over your timelines because you're already indulged in it, so you're going to see it, right? As long as you act as that artificial legal person, then you are in contract with whatever company sends you a presentment, which means you're going to be obligating yourself to satisfy that debt. Presentments from incorporated governments and corporations are addressed to the artificial legal person name, so they need a living man or woman to step into that role to take responsibility for the liabilities attached to that name. Presentments from incorporated governments and corporations need a man or woman to consent to act in joinder to an artificial legal person name forming a contract. If you guys take a nice look at the pictures below, I want to quickly go over those pictures. I put them there purposely because I want you really to think about how this shit is a system, and I want you guys to really break your barriers of your mind. You might have a headache after you hear me say this, but I gotta tell y'all. All right, so this first picture here is a guy looking in the mirror, and it just looks like a normal picture, right? But if you notice, each person has different clothes on. The one on the outside is dressed in all brown. The one inside the mirror is dressed in all black, and he's holding metal in his hand, and he has one around his neck. The one on the outside in the brown has nothing. Okay? And he's looking at that reflection. Now, every day when you wake up or whatever time you walk past a mirror and you look at what you think is yourself in that mirror, and you are looking at that person that's reflecting back at you in that mirror, you are looking at your straw man. This is your straw man. It is an artificial person. The reason why it is an artificial person is because you only need this as a vehicle for your spirit to act in this world. If you were just a spirit without this body, no one with physical eyes will be able to see you or interact with you without like extra spiritual practices, right? Like going into some spirit conjuring and stuff like that. But that's neither here nor there. We're just talking on a basic level. You are looking at your straw man. And the whole time that you were conditioned to believe through the systems that they gave you, you were conditioned to believe that that is you. So we're sitting up here like, yeah, this is me. I'm such and such, whatever your name is, in all caps. I am that. And you believe that because in school, they told you to write your first and last name. They told you about capital letters. They taught you that you were that. So you automatically took the role of that person that you see in the mirror. This is why they tell you to call yourself a person, to call ourselves people, individuals. All of it ties us back to this body that we're driving in. Now, when Christ got crucified, that was signifying him killing off this person in the brown. The person in the brown is a persona. As you can see, is this picture of this girl looking in the mirror. You see these personas? They're all personas. And personas are actors in Latin. And we have many of them. If you ever heard the term, or if you're familiar with the term alter ego, then you would know that we have many of them. For the sake of, illustrating my point more, I want to show you guys something. I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick. I just want to make this so clear. I'm about to Google up all of these celebrities and stuff who have done alter ego photo shoots. It is ridiculous. And I'm going to break this down because I really want y'all to see how they tease us pretty much. They mock us. They show us how they are so happy at what they've done. And so what they do is they show it to us. They reflect it to us through one of their greatest systems called media. If y'all want a video of me really breaking it down outside of what we're learning, just to give you guys the full picture, I can do a live breaking down all of that stuff so that y'all can fully get the full idea of how crazy this is. Now, look at this. Now the pictures won't click. All right, but I guess that's the biggest I can make them. But look at this. This is an alter ego. Alter egos never look the same as the person. So right here, she has red hair and it's long. She's dressed with a white top and a black belt. They use these colors here because they represent duality, and that is like a universal law in this realm. This or that, right? Male and female, up and down, short and tall, like that, right? And the white represents her lower side, believe it or not, because it's the false light. And the black represents, if you see, she has more white on than she has on black. The black is just like a small little section because this represents her higher self. Now let's go to her. And she's also behind a gate. She looks like she's trapped. And then she killed herself, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Right, the crucifixion, and then this is the resurrection on the outside of the gate. She's much more confident. Her hair is shorter. She has black and white hair, so she merged her higher and lower self. She has on a white shirt, but you see the little bit of white that's showing? It's not as much white showing as it was here. Also, she has on a black belt, and she has on black pants, which means that her hair is more black than it is, aka white. Okay? This means that she has gained the knowledge necessary to free herself. Okay, this stuff goes deep, and they put this in our face. It's kind of like cognitive dissonance, right? I will confuse you, but I'll show you the truth, because a universal law is that they must be upfront. They must tell the truth. They have to show us to gather our energy before they can do it, right? You have to inform. You cannot do anything outside of universal law without first informing, whether it be through subliminal messages or in a sneaky sense. But also with this one, she's using the duality of male and female. All right. She's wearing all black, and she's wearing black and white as a male. Look at her hair, black and white. Common theme. Look at her right here as a female. She has chains around her neck, and she has a bag in her hand, which symbolizes that she's a slave. Right here is a merging of the black and white. She's ascended, she's merged both sides, and she's became her full self, whatever that may be. I don't know what she's trying to convey here, but I'm just giving y'all a basic, like I said, I can go more into detail, but I'm just giving y'all a basic understanding of this stuff. Like, and this is the last one I'm gonna do. But look at this. One is an innocent child and one is not. And this goes to show us that we have more than one side to us. We just were not aware of it. So when we are in this process, it's going to make more sense when you start to disconnect from that one that you see in the mirror and connect more to the one in the inside that the human eyes cannot see. Every day that we go about in life, we have these thoughts that don't come out loud. They don't come out of our mouth. When you're going through something or you're doing something and you might have a difficulty, you have this voice in your head, this inner voice that just knows what to do. And it just tells you and it helps you throughout your life. Right? It helps you to make decisions. It helps you when you're, when you are lost. It even goes down to us having two parts of the brain. And each part has different abilities. And in all of these systems that they created, they taught us only how to use one side of our brain more than the other side, which is more, they helped us to be more left brain dominated or dominant. Right? And if we're more left brain dominant, then we're more stuck here. We're more thinking that we're that person when we look in the mirror. And if we're too right brain, then we're overly holy. We're overly we're not connecting with the side of us that is here. And when you merge the two sides and work them together, then everything that you see will begin to make a whole lot more sense. And I just felt like I should break that down because we have to realize that we are not this artificial legal person. I don't care if you've been going by that name. That's the name that was given. It's a given name and it was taken and created into something else. You're an actor. You're here with a purpose and a mission. And regardless of all of these sidetracks, what we're doing right now is a part of your purpose and your mission. Your ancestors didn't do it. They didn't have the knowledge to do this. We do. We live in a different time where that knowledge is accessible. So we're taking on the role of Christ. We chose to crucify ourselves, which is the old side of us that was only worried about us being in this reality, thinking that this was our reality and really being stressed out and going through all type of stuff and thinking this was it for us, not realizing that the entire time we have been acting in the incorrect role. So now that we gain the knowledge to know that we're acting in the incorrect role, we are crucifying ourselves and resurrecting to who we truly are. And that's where all the birthrights come through. This is why the Bible is telling you that when Jesus died, he went to hell, which was he went to his lower self. He went to hell first, then he resurrected, and he went to heaven at the right hand side of God. And the right hand side is the right side of your hemisphere in your brain, the right side of your brain, which is your intuition, your creativity, who you truly are, who you're truly here to be. And you merge the two and you use this vessel here, because that's what this is. This is why they call us vessels. This is why we have birth certificates. You use this vessel to fulfill the mission of the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it. And you go to the right hand side. Okay? When you require the claimant to verify their claim, a false claim will expose if there is no contract signed by both parties. If no man or woman can step forward as the claimant, if there is no invoice or bill signed by that man or woman, and if there is no evidence of a loss in the accounting, which I already told y'all what they do with that in the last video. If you didn't look at it, go look at it, because I explained to you how they have two different sides of books. Like the mafia, they have two sets of books. One side is you as a debtor, the other side is you as a creditor. But the one with you as a creditor is hidden from the public. But it's not that it's not accessible though. It still can be accessed. It's just that you have to know how to stand for yourself. And this is another reason why I say I can tell you what exactly to do. I could literally make a step-by-step video telling y'all this is what you do, X, Y, and Z. But if you lack the backing, you lack the substance, you lack the foundation of knowledge, you would come back to me after you did that X, Y, and Z and ask me what would you have to do next. And I don't want you to have to do that. I want you to be set up properly the first time. I don't care if it takes long for you to obtain this knowledge. This is the part that is the most important. It's so many people out here teaching this and they're giving y'all just the steps. But that's not helping nobody at the end of the day. Because all it's going to do is cause you to have to go back to that person and ask them, okay, so I did X, Y, and Z. So what now? Because you're not giving them the foundation to act as the sovereign that they are. You're only giving them enough to discharge debts or whatever the case may be. But we're way beyond just discharging debts. We know that debts are a scam. But as we go through this knowledge journey, we're going to do what we got to do so we won't get our stuff taken from us. But we know that once we obtain everything that we need to obtain and we set ourselves up, everything we put out, we're going to get back anyway. So we're going to take our time and actually figure this out from the bottom up and not try to rush the process. That's like a person who is overweight and they want to lose weight. And I have nothing against anybody who chooses to get surgery. However, I have personally known and know many people who were obese and went and got these gastric bypass surgeries and they're obese again. And the reason why is because it happened too fast. They cannot appreciate the journey. We're going to be the ones who appreciate the journey of learning and picking up this knowledge. So once we get to where we want to be, it all makes sense and we won't go back. It's easy for a person who didn't put in the work to lose out because they don't have a comprehension of why they're doing it to begin with. And again, like I said in my last video, it is important for me. You're right, Sharice. Some only want to remove debts and not become free. They just don't want to pay bills, but it doesn't go that way. Even though you're able to do that, once you have this knowledge, being an opportunist is not good. Because guess what? When that method that you're doing ceases to work, because these banks will change it up on their asses. They will. They do it all the time. So when those methods that you're doing that's working right now ceases to work, you're going to be paying bills again. So what are you going to do then? What are you going to do? When you get completely free, this is us removing ourselves from behind the fence. We're no longer the person. We're no longer the prisoner. We're not the prisoner anymore. We are now the jailer. We putting people that belong behind the bars behind the bars. No longer will we be the innocent and be behind the bars. No longer will we be the victim. Right? So for me, it's more about getting the full picture of all of it and sharing that with others to help wake up those parts in our brain that's going to help you. Your spirit already knows what's right for you. That's why you're here. Your spirit led you here. That right side of your brain, y'all, everybody in here, somehow you access that part of your brain by asking questions. That's how it starts. You wanted to know, why is this something, this or whatever? Why is this that way? Why is something something? You had a question and it sparked that intuition inside of you to put you in the direction that you need to be in. And that's why you're asking questions and you're getting answers. And that's just how it is. People who are only in it to discharge debts or to get out of their financial obligations because they're struggling, which is nothing. I get it. Trust me, I understand. It can be hard, but that's because they're fully operating as that person they see in the mirror. And they think that all of this is real when literally, all you have to do is not answer to those presentments. If no one answers, what can they do? What can they do? They have to get you to act in that role. So you think that you have to address these bills because you think that that name on that envelope is yours. You think that is you. You think that reality is yours, and it ain't. Everybody here is born with their own gifts, talents, whatever. That's the way you're supposed to be living, off of what makes you happy, not off of what the government says you have to work because you got to pay these bills. And that's not even true. They told you this so that you can act as the artificial person. They put you through these systems of brainwashing to make you defensive and dishonorable and acting outside of character, to be incompetent so that they can take care of you. It's a whole system in itself. But you first got to see through the fog. And it's just like the Wizard of Oz. They thought the wizard was so great. He could give them so this and that and this and that. And they get there and they pull the curtain back. Toto pulls the curtain back, and it's a man, just like them, just like Dorothy, a human, speaking on a loudspeaker. It was a facade. The whole time the power was inside of you. The lion made himself brave. Okay? Dorothy made herself go back home. She put the shoes on and clicked them 3 times, and it was her power that got her back home. All right, let's see. Where am I? Who is the claimant? Who is the injured party? We will happily settle the account when the claimant steps forward to sign the bill. Pirates on the sea of commerce hide within corporate vessels to avoid liability. So always require the claimant to come forward. Remember, I told you, this is a vessel. Look at this body as a corporate vessel now, because they already created a corporation out of you. This body is a corporate vessel, and you're going to learn how to use this corporate vessel to benefit in this world, just like they do. What makes them different from us is knowledge. Point blank, period. If I know that I have an evil plan, and I know that I want to usurp the people of their power, then the easiest way to do that is make them dumber than me. Point blank, period. That's it. If I make you dumber than me, I'm automatically winning. So this is why we are going to continue to see a decline in the IQ of the population, period. And it's sad to say, a lot of people in your family, you're gonna really sit back and be like, wow, I didn't know you were that dumb. When I was a kid, I thought you were smart, but you're really dumb. And it's because you have been put through systems to take your power from you so that they can stay in power. We're giving them power to stay in power. Literally. If every corporation is, I want to show you guys something else real quick. I want to show you about how all the corporations, I'm pretty sure y'all already know this, but all the corporations are owned by about 3 or 6 companies. Hold on, let me see. And if that's the case, then it is so easy for them to take control of our minds. Because these people who are in control of those corporations, they literally have the same goal. It's crazy. Let me get this picture up real quick. It is freaking crazy. This is from 2017. I need something newer because they changed it. I know it went from like 7 or 6 companies or 15 or something like that, and it's just like really a little tiny bit now. That they own everything that we buy. They control everything that we do. They control everything that we see. They keep showing me this one from 2017. Let me see. This is the beauty. This is the beauty industry. Hold on, wait a minute. Sorry, guys, bear with me. You see, they try to hide this information. They don't want us to see this. I'll just show you this one. I'll show you the one about media. Because the media is the most, once you get out of the school system, the media is what keeps their programming going. The media in the food. Why do you think they call the FDA the Food and Drug Administration? Food and Drug Administration. Why is food and drugs compartmentalized together? Unless you had some type of nefarious plan. Facts, Joy. We see how dumb they are since 2020. You're not lying. 2020 was a year of revealing to us all. I was able to see how dumb a lot of the people in my family I thought were smart are actually. All right, so this here is a picture of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is in media. So this is 6 corporations who own all of media. These corporations are owned by BlackRock or Vanguard. So at the end of the day, you have compartmentalizers. So this is them creating different corporate entities. So this is an entity, 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 this is an entity. All of these inside of these are entities as well. And then you take these 6 out and put them on another diagram, and then it's only 2 entities that own all of this shit. So their plan is to keep us dumb. They don't want us to be able to think. They said it. I think it was Rockefeller that said it. He wanted a nation of workers and not thinkers. You are a threat when you begin to ask questions. I learned this in church. My husband asked the pastor a question, and it went downhill from there because he couldn't answer it. He didn't have the knowledge. He just went off of traditional belief that he was given. He didn't have the knowledge to give to my husband. And after that, he started treating us different. And we ended up leaving Christianity. We ended up leaving religion altogether. And it wasn't because, we were bitter or anything like that. It was because why would I follow you and you don't even know? It just made us go on a journey to learning, a journey to obtain the knowledge for self, because nobody's going to do it like you. I don't care how many people out here is out in this information and giving you this knowledge and stuff like that. I don't care about that. That's good and fine and dandy. However, are they giving you what you actually need other than information? Are they painting a picture? Are they putting everything together? Are they helping you to see who you truly are behind this whole thing? And to be honest, I don't believe a lot of people even comprehend this, because a lot of people are doing stuff for money. And when you do it for money, you don't understand this, because money is a creation that comes from us. It's an energy. It's our energy. That green stuff is just a creation. It's a piece of paper. It's just as good as a piece of toilet paper. Right? Alleged claims can be responded to with notices of conditional acceptance, which simply accept the claim upon verification, failing which the claimant incurs liability. This is a lawful process. Let me look in the chats and see what's going on. Yes, thank you. My brain is much clearer and definitely driving me through this process to become my true self, aka sovereign. Yes, I love to hear that. Amazing. Glad to hear. Stay strong. Black Street. No, it's BlackRock and Vanguard. They are owned by the same families who said they wanted a nation of workers and not thinkers. This family is so maniacal that they don't even have to be on the forefront anymore. What John D. Rockefeller did, and I have been doing research on him. And he has put in so many funds. First of all, answer this question. In 1929, who has $180 million in 1907? I'm sorry. Who has $180 million in 1907? Like, that is just blowing my mind, the fact that he was able to have that much at that time. If that's a lot now, because it is a lot still now, imagine how much it was then. We see how, yeah, we do, definitely. Prior to that, really. Wait, what question? What you mean by that, Zach? It's just like the radio stations. They go from one door to the next. R&B, rock, Christian, etc. Listen to the voices on the station. Sound familiar. They've got to work more than 2 hours a day, right? Exactly. Not only that, if they're in control of the music, right? And they are in control of who becomes famous. Keep that in mind. So we think that these regular people like us are becoming famous, and they're not looking for talent. They're looking for influence. So they don't care if you're not really talented. They don't care if you can't really sing. They got AI equipment that can make your voice sound good. So they got somebody else that'll sing for you and be your ghost singer, ghost writer. So they're not worried about that. They're just worried about the fact that you have the ability to have influence over the people. Crazy. Wow, that was why I dropped going to church at 15. I wanted to understand and not getting it. Yes, exactly. It is crazy. Over 320 million spent just to find a school. That's a part of the bigger donation that he gave. That's a part of the bigger donation that he gave. He gave 180 million to the school system. Oh, the question that my husband asked the pastor. All right, so at this time I was studying the Bible really heavily, and I got to realize, like, this was about the little the guys that wear the small hats on the top of their head. We got to understand who they truly were, and so we realized how they switched roles and things like that. And so he went to go ask about that. I can't really go into detail about it because I don't want to get flagged or anything like that, but he went to go ask about that, and the pastor was like, what does that matter? We was talking about Jesus' bloodline. We wanted to know, like, how he was relevant. How was he connected to all of these people in us? And so I'm a studier. Y'all see this by now. And he just was like, it doesn't matter. Why does that matter? You don't, like, pretty much you don't question God. And I'm like, okay. But the Bible also says to taste and see if the Lord is good. So that in my mind, that means to ask questions. Do you have to be an SPC process before you become a private banker? You can do both simultaneously. You can also not be an SPC. I mean, listen, an SPC is a private banker. And it's really not together. So secured party creditor is really not together. It's secured party / creditor, because you're already the creditor. You're just putting it on paper. You're canceling all contracts. I personally say, I know that you can still discharge debt without that. However, I don't believe that you should. I don't believe that, from my research, I don't believe that a person that has not fully corrected their status, I don't believe that they should be doing some of the private banker things, because this is why people were getting arrested. Some of the things that a private banker can do, a citizen cannot do. I hope that makes sense. And I broke it down, like, when you're playing a game or you're in a grade level, you're in first or second grade, you're not going to know the same thing as you did in first grade, in second grade. You're going to have more abilities. If you're playing a video game, you're on level 1. When you get to level 2, you have more powers and abilities. So we're right now, as a citizen, you're at level 1, and a private banker is at level 100. So a person at level 1, yeah, you might be able to get away with some stuff, that you're doing that a level 100 person can do. However, you still are at level 1. So you got to come up. Is level, that saying, is levels to this? That's what that means. You got to understand that, right? A lot of people out here telling people, yeah, it works. Yes, it does. But I personally, this is just my own personal belief. I don't fault anybody, but this is just me and my logic thinking. I don't want to be a part of any of their systems. I'm not in this just to discharge debts. I want to remove myself from everything that I unknowingly put myself in, because I didn't know. Now I do. And I don't want no parts of the United States corporation. I don't agree with what they do. I don't agree with them using people and making people dumb. I've seen the decline of my own family behind this system, and it saddens me. So I don't want to be a part of them or affiliated with them in any way. I want to be completely sovereign and separate. But that is, that's, people get to choose what they want to do and what they want to be, and how they want to act, because you do have the option to wear many roles, or play many roles, should I say. These days, the most talented people are not on mainstream. Exactly. And they're not going to be, because the most talented people are us. The most talented people are the people that is slaving away at jobs every day that they hate, giving up their transmitting utility, and hiding beautiful talents that a person that's on mainstream could never even think of, because they don't even write their own music. They don't even write their own movies. Hollywood is making remakes because the writers are on a strike. It's a writers guild, and they're on strike because they're not getting paid. So you're going to keep seeing the same movies being recycled because they don't have no ideas. It's the people like us that keep them living. And they said enough is enough and they stopped writing. So you're not going to see no original ideas. All you're going to see is remakes. Milli Vanilli was a prime example. For real. They was lip syncing the whole time. They was a look and they had influence, but they could not sing. Oh, J-Lo is also an example, if you guys don't know. Yes, the Moors. And the thing is, there are Moors who are called dirty Moors, and they are the ones who are part of the system. They are the ones who sold the people out. They come from England. Think about it. The Moors migrated to America from England. So did the bankers. Just because there's a difference in hue on the skin does not mean that they're not together or related. I don't know why people think that. Just my husband, looking at him, you think he's a black man, but he has a white father. You see what I'm saying? None of that matters. That's another system that they have us brainwashed in. The system of color, which color is only relevant in law. In law is their system. So as long as we keep thinking we're black and white, we're going to keep looking at each other as different. And we're not. We're both under the same system that's causing us to fight amongst each other. So we'll never see that the enemy is them. The pastor should have known that question. You guys done right by leaving. I appreciate that. He should have known. He should have. And if I was to show you guys, because he's a very popular pastor on YouTube, if I was to show you guys who this man was, you would, the way he acts, you would think he knows everything. Well, soon as we left, a big sexual scandal came out in his church. Facts. Yep, it sure did. And he was getting crazy stuff. I don't even go into detail. The truth came out as soon as we left. Let's see. And they also have no new ideas, having for so long. Exactly. If you think about it, I don't really listen to mainstream music, especially like the new music of today, because it's just trash. But a lot of them, like Cardi B's and things like that, they using old samples and beats from old songs from the 90s and putting their own little spin on it. They cannot create. These are not regular average people like us. We think they are because they told us a rags to riches story. They're in their position because they're a part of the black nobility if their skin looks so-called black. You know, they're a part of the dirty Moors. They are part of the bankers. They are related. Go look up the presidents. I know you guys know this because you're intelligent. The presidents are all related. I think it was an 11 or 12-year-old little girl who did a project one year for her school. And she was able to trace all of the bloodlines of the presidents and tell you how they were related. Crazy. You're not going to be a part of the club if you're not blood tied in. This is why they're called blue bloods. They know that they're different. They know who they belong to. We just don't know because we don't even know who we are. How can you know who they are and you don't even know who you are? Oh, yeah, J-Lo has zero talent. She can't sing or what? They inflated her because she is attractive. But now she's getting older and her attraction is dying down. She's not as attractive as she used to be. And she's just becoming so desperate to be relevant. But she is literally talentless. She can't even speak Spanish. She's a disgrace to her own people. And they are the ones who try. Queen Elizabeth's father was listen, Queen Elizabeth before the one that was in that just recently passed. You know, all of them were melanated before that. Go and look at the pictures of England. Did y'all see that Russia released the photos of like all of the original photos of different things? Did y'all know that? Crazy. And all of them melanated, which is my point and why that shit don't matter, because if you want to be technical, the melanated ones is the reason why we in this boat. If you want to be technical. Pastors go to theology school, facts, in Rome, and are only taught to study certain parts of the Bible to bring. You are 100% correct. I call it cemetery school. You know how they call it seminary school? I call it cemetery school. And they're under the Roman papacy. America has been invaded and conquered by Rome. We are under Roman law right now. So everything, when it comes to, this is why everything is traced back to Latin in law. They brought their systems here, the same systems that in the Bible Jesus fought against. And they taught us to worship somebody who did what we're supposed to do because we are the return of Christ. But they told us it was a physical embodiment and that he was going to crack the sky open and all this and all that. We are the physical embodiment of Christ. And that is us waking up to who we are and taking back our power and acting accordingly. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with when they said when Christ would return, he would reign for 1,000 years before he ended the system. We're moving into that with what we're doing. We're moving into that with what we're doing right now. They are all a part of the same brotherhood. Factual. Oh, and don't get me started on these spiritual leaders that's popping out the woodworks. Don't get me started on them. They are all a part of it. They are all a part of this system to keep us asleep. So people leave religion and go into spirituality, and they go into spirituality with the same religious mindset. The same mindset that they had in religion. I'm green blood. That's right. It's funny you said that because I taught my children about that. Yes. See, all hidden facts. Yes, wolf in sheep's clothing, for real. So it's all a system to keep us down, to keep us asleep. But let me digress because I'm going too far. All right, so this is a diagram that's showing you the difference between your standing, your response, and the claimant response. So we're going to start at the top where it says honor, without it being green, the very top. Honor. Your standing is honor. When you want to stand in honor, your response is to accept, which is to pay up without verification of alleged debt, and the claimant's response is none. That's what we've been taught to do. So we're acting honorably by just paying our bills, and if they send us something and we're like, oh, yeah, I took the loan out, so I'll pay it. And we're acting in honor. And this is why we don't get anything from the claimant, because they're getting what they want. Quid pro quo. One hand washes the other, saying, okay? That's what that means. The next one is honor with the green. This is where you want to stand. So your response will be conditional acceptance upon verification of alleged debt. So once you prove that this debt belongs to me, then okay, I don't mind paying it. But until you do that, I pay nothing. And the claimant's response will be must verify an alleged debt with evidentiary documents or incur liability. And the things that they send us as evidentiary documents are not what we're asking for. They are not giving us the true evidence for us to accept that debt. Okay? So we're acting in honor when we do that. Now, dishonor comes in when you're disputing alleged debts, and because it gives your consent to enter into a contract negotiation. So despite what and this is so good for me because I had a credit repair company, and I stopped doing it for many reasons, but the dispute process was a lot. And I just came to, after studying consumer law, I came to the conclusion that disputing was stupid. Disputing and going back and forth with these companies is dumb. Foul identity theft. They stole your identity. Get the shit taken off that way. And see, they try to scare you on these government websites and make you think that you're doing something illegal, but you're not. Because y'all didn't tell me that my social security card was or social security number was a credit card. Y'all didn't tell me that. And I gave it to this company. And I signed a contract, but they didn't sign it. They didn't sign a contract, so the contract is already void. Not only did they not sign a contract, but when I asked them for the original application and contract, they cannot give it to me, which is me acting in honor. Y'all cannot give me what I'm asking for. So I don't owe you anything. If I owe you something, you should be able to prove to me how I owe you. That's like if I took $10 off your table and you saw me take it. You can, and you say, for instance, I took $10 off your table when you got a camera in your house and the camera caught me taking the $10 off your table. And you come to me and say, I know you took $10 from me. And I'm like, no, you don't. I don't know what you're talking about. You want to prove that. And you like, hold on, I'll prove it. And you show me the video and it's me taking the $10 off your table. I got to give it back because you saw me take it. Right? But we go to them and we like, y'all say that I owe $10,000. Show me how. And they like, oh, here. this company is the original debtor, the original creditor, and that you took a look. Here's your online application, no signatures, no nothing. That or that just be like, this debt is validated because you did it. That's not what I'm asking for, bro. Y'all just trying to get me to stop. That's not what I'm asking for. So I don't owe you anything. All right, so keep that in mind. Anytime that you dispute a debt, you giving your consent to enter into a contract negotiation. When these third-party debt collecting agencies come after you and they say, "Oh, we're coming to collect for LVN. I mean, we're LVNV funding, and we're coming to collect for Capital One. You owe $650, but we'll knock off $300 if you pay today. We'll work a payment plan with you." And you're like, "Okay, I can pay $20 a month." That's you getting into a contract with them. And you didn't have a contract with them. So you asking them, "Hold on, why y'all coming at me and I didn't sign an application with y'all? I didn't sign a contract with y'all. So why y'all coming after me?" But they not able to prove it. Like I said, identity theft. That is identity theft. Now the claimant's response when you acting dishonest by disputing and getting into a contract negotiation, their response is that they can take a dispute to legal court, which is a dispute resolution service. This is when they're going to take you to court and sue you and then garnish your wages. That's when that happens. Now, dishonor at the bottom is you saying nothing at all. You're acting in dishonor because you're allowing them to do whatever they want. And the claimant response is that they can interpret silence as acquiescence and take claim to legal court. So you get a notice saying, we're on April 24th, we're going to start garnishing your wages. And you open the letter, read it, get all in your feelings because you think you're the person you see in the mirror, start crying and getting stressed out, and you sit the letter off to the side. You get me? You cannot do that. You have to act in honor and ask them to verify the alleged debt through different standards. And the summary of your response is to rebut any false claim, debt, ticket, summons, etc. Any of that stuff is stand in honor and accessing your common law court of record for the people. 1, you're going to immediately give notice that you will pay any debt or remedy any harm to a woman or man upon verification of that debt or harm within a certain amount of days. 2, if there is no verified claim from a woman or man within a certain amount of days that you gave them, you make a claim against that woman or man who brought the false claims against you. Do not use legalese. Motion, don't use the word motion, don't use the word plaintiff, defendant, dismiss, plea, guilty, not guilty, none of that. That is their jurisdiction. And once you start using those words, it transfers into their jurisdiction, and you don't want that. You don't talk like they talk. You talk like a banker. Bankers use different terminology than the legal system. Now, notice in presentments. Let me go to the chats real quick because I see y'all going in. Not that guy, back on a tangent. Exactly. Celebrities play a role in the brainwashing. They do, and that's why they're paid so much. You ever wonder why entertainers are paid so much money? And you like the same stuff they do, they actually do way less than we do, right? Why do they get these big salaries? Why do football players and basketball players be getting these wonderful salaries? They be getting good contracts. It's because they're keeping us asleep. They're playing their role. I hate they are also brainwashed, selling their souls only to be paid from their own money trust. I wish they knew. Like I said, they do. Most of them know. They just are playing a role and we don't know. They know who they are. They know that they're doing this for the reason that they're doing it is to keep them in power. Don't think they don't know who they are. Don't think they're regular people like me and you. I don't care if you grew up in a neighborhood or went to a school with a celebrity. That was all by design. It was all by design so that you could believe that they were like you and that the same thing they can do, you can do. And it's not true. It is absolutely not true. Because they sold the original contract of bond. Exactly. They sold it and they cannot show you because it's been sold over and over and over. A whole lot of other banks done had their hands on it and making money off of it. This class is so right on time. I'm glad to hear that. Exactly. And let me tell you guys how many patients under 30 tell me their mother had a bill in their name, and the electric gas or whatever company is having them sign a paper to pay the debt. Girl, listen, my mother was that type of mother, so I know all about it. She would use anybody's name who would let her. I didn't let her use mine, but she used my younger sister's name and tore her credit to pieces. The IRS is coming after my younger sister for what she has done. And see, they don't listen. They don't know that they don't have to accept those debts. They can file identity theft. Literally, identity theft washes it completely away. You just got to have the proof showing that your identity has been taken. And then all you got to do is file an FTC report at identitytheft.gov. Get your credit report. All of that stuff they say you allegedly owe, all of these third-party companies, they one of the easiest ones to get off because they know they don't got a contract with you. You file identity theft, you only got to give no name of who did it. You get you an online police report saying that you lost your wallet, whatever the case may be, and you give that to that company, and they will erase it from your credit because they know they're not in contract with you, and you're not accepting it. You're acting in honor. Is it really a contract or trust agreement? Why do we send presentments to the trustee if it's not? It is a trust agreement. It is a trust agreement in the name of a contract. That's exactly what it is. But we don't know that. We think that we got to fill out these applications and contracts. They promissory notes, aka trust agreements, so that they can go into our trust. And you're very intelligent for knowing that. I talked about that in my last the one I did last week. If you want to go check it out, if you haven't saw it already. But I talked about how those are really trust agreements. They also have a raise the rich, right? Like, come on now, everybody that's come up in Hollywood got a raise the richest story. Yeah, I came from. No, bro, that's it's just so you can feel relatable to them, so they can usurp you and take your power. You give your power to the media too. You give your power to these actors, rappers, singers, entertainers like sports people, comedians, politicians, businesses, corporations, Walmart, the Walton family, right? We give our power away to them. You think that Walmart got cheaper prices, but they don't. They just use psychological programming to make you think their prices are more cheap. This is the reason they use numerology. This is why you have to know who you are so you can learn this stuff. They use numerology. That's why most of their prices are 98 or something like that, or 88. I'm telling you, it's numerology. The eights are abundant numbers. Eights represent abundance. Just like this year, 2024, in numerology, it totals down to the number 8. Because 2 plus 2 plus 4 is 0 is a place value. 0 has no value in numerology. It's a placeholder. This is why they can put a 0 behind a 1 and you think it's $10, and then put another one and it's $100, and put another one, it's $1,000, and so on up to, it's a place value. It's an illusion. 0 is an illusion. I started the administrative process and they tried to send me to, let them send it to collections, because guess what? It's easier to get it off when they do send it to collections. Like I said, the collection agency has no contract with you, so they're not going to fight with you. You do the identity theft thing, and they're not going to fight with you. Listen, I'll get stuff off credit all the time with that method. Okay, because that's essentially what it is. It is identity theft. They put the low prices at, not to mention all of the data breaches. All of the data breaches that you've been involved in that you don't even know. Your information has been leaked time and time again. And then you got these third-party information collecting bureaus like LexisNexis and SageStream and Innovis and CoreLogic and all of them, ARS. These companies are selling your information without your consent. So your identity is floating all over the internet. Anybody who wanted to steal it could. Because you didn't put your social security number out there without knowing that it was a credit card. So why do you think scamming and cybersecurity is at an all-time high? Because they can literally go online, hack certain systems, get all your information, and then act as you to get things. Keep that in mind. They sell your information all the time, every day. This is why Elon Musk wanted to buy Twitter, because it was about the information that Twitter held. He was so pressed to gather that information because that information is what's going to keep him at the top of his game. He's going to run that information through a supercomputer, and he's going to get so many different simulations that he can play out to keep him at the top. They have quantum computing. A quantum computer is so big that you got to have a warehouse to put it in. But it's the same thing that they use in insurance. In insurance, they use, I forget what it's called, but they basically, so say for instance, you're in a car accident, right? With your car insurance. And they call you and they want to get the story from you before they get the story from the other person. And so they ask you, what happened? You know, while you telling them what happened, they put it in a computer, and it's a computer that tells them the probability of what you're saying and if it's true or not. This is how they can say who's at fault and not or not. They put it into a system. What you're telling them, they're typing it into a system. Then they go get the story from the other party and they type it into a system. And that computer tells them who's at fault and the probability of how it simulates it. It puts it all together, and then they can say, okay, that person was actually at fault. We're going to cut the check to X, Y, and Z, and we're going to get your car fixed, whatever, or replace your car. That is literally what they do. They have been doing that for so long. They have been telling us that the technology that we have now is new, but the technology we have is new to us. It is not new to them. The world works off numerology, 100% facts. 100% fact. The world works off of numbers. That's the only thing that don't lie. And this simulation is ran off of numbers. What if they won't remove it? Oh, they will. If you go at them right, they will. I do this all the time. Trust me, they will. Because you're acting in honor. You're not giving them a reason not to. Because you're already taking the liability off of you. You get it? You're not acting as the person that they're addressing the letter to. You're like, I did not do that. That's not me. That is my identity was stolen. In essence, it was. Because you did not know, you did not have the knowledge to know that your social security number is a credit card, and you did not have the knowledge to know that that application, aka contract, is a trust agreement. You didn't know that. Now you do. You are not even supposed to be using your social security number to obtain anything, but they didn't tell you that. This is why you pay taxes. They didn't tell you that. They want you to act as that person for as much and as long as they can get you to, so that you can continue being under their debt system. You know, when I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but Kanye West said slavery was a choice, and people were like, "What? How is it's 100% a choice? 100%. Because if you choose to believe what they told you, you're choosing to be a slave." It's really hard for me to believe that the same people that they cannot control now, that they were able to do some of the things they told us they did to them then. I've never seen a so-called black man allow a so-called white man to harm him in front of his family. I never seen it. I only can go off what I have experienced. And it's very hard for me to believe that that is true, that they were letting them buck break them. That is a lie to keep you in a slave mindset. This is why they remind you with slave movies every so now and again. They want you to stay in that vibration, to think that you're less than. And they want the so-called white people to stay in the vibration to think they're better so that we can fight amongst each other when we're really on the same playing field. It's an even playing field. We live in the same place. We breathe the same air. Our bodies operate the same way to keep us alive. We are all here with a mission. We all have talents and skills and abilities. We all are trying to figure this shit out. We all paying these corporations. What I do see a difference in is the corporations versus us. That's what I see the difference in. I know poor white people just like I know poor black people. I see homeless white people just like I see homeless black people and every other race in between. I don't see it being as like, I just don't see it. And they just come out with these, they say that these have all these systems like redlining and stuff like that, but that's because you allowed it. You allowed it. That's why. Y'all sat there, not y'all, or, you know, I'm just speaking. Y'all sat there and allowed them to tell you that you are a descendant of a slave, and you believed it. You allowed them to put you through a school system of brainwashing to tell you that that's who you are and give you a movie to remind you of that's who you are every so often, and a random win every now and again. And you believed it. Slavery was 100% a choice. This is all about securities, bonds, negotiable instruments, promissory notes, etc. Had to put back up and exactly. That's. I'm glad you understand, because that's all it. And that's what I want, bro. I want y'all to have the full understanding, so you can't be swayed in different directions because something sounds good. I want y'all to have the full understanding. I'm so glad to know that. But it's all banking. It's all a game. It's just like the game of Monopoly. If y'all haven't played it in a while, I suggest you bring that game into your home and start playing it again, because it is going to give you a full. Now that you know what you know, you're going to play the game in a different way. We used to play Monopoly and the game will last forever. It's because we didn't understand it. Play it now. Watch how quick you beat it. Yep, it's all a story. And the agents all around the world are the agents to assist with the bullshit. You're right. And this is why they put people in certain positions, because they can help us. They can help to keep pushing this story. They can help to keep us asleep. And they take these deals. I'll pay you $20 million if you X, Y, and Z. And they're like, okay. And the reason is especially why they're saying okay, because they know that they're not us. They know that they're a part of those who are in power, or so-called in power, because the power comes from us. So they're not really in power. I would have been hung at 9 if I lived back then. Who are you telling? Who are you telling? Like, that's what I'm saying. It could have not, it definitely couldn't have been the way they told us. Critical thinking skills come in at some point, and it's like, all right, y'all say that y'all put all of these people, millions of people on a boat from Africa, and you didn't have none of the technology that you have now, and it took 2 weeks for y'all to get across the oceans. Y'all had no sanitary conditions. You had them packed like sardines, close to each other, pooping, peeing, throwing up, and they all just was so healthy enough to make it all the way across that whole thing. And it was no type of bacterial diseases, no parasitic infections. It was none of that. They all just came here and just started working hard as shit. That just like, come on now. They telling you the story that you're a vessel right there. They're telling you what you are, but we've been, like I said, conditioned and brainwashed through their systems to think that we are this body. So we're looking at it on the left side of our brain, as logical as a human will look at it, instead of using our intuition and our right side of our brain, merging it with the logic of the left side of the brain and saying, this don't make sense. I got questions and none of y'all can answer them. This is why they cannot find any slave ships, but y'all found the Titanic though. Come on now. It just don't make sense. They found biblical artifacts, so they say, but you can't find a slave ship. Jesus been dead for over 2,000 years. Come on, make it make sense. I'm older than most of you, and my grandmother always said we didn't come from slaves. You're right. And she said she was there at first. Always made me had second thoughts about everything. Always. That's an ancestor that should be held at a high degree, because she knew, and it's a good thing that you had her to tell you that. I wish I did. I didn't have that, but my father did always tell me we didn't come from Africa, and I have nothing against Africans, because I feel like we all connected in some way. Everybody is connected in some way. I'm not looking at stuff physically anymore. I just don't. When does your workshop? I'm not doing a workshop anymore. I discontinued it because right now it's not a good time for me to move into that. However, everything that I was going to share in the workshop, I will be sharing in the academy. So I'll share that information at the end of this presentation. But the workshop was a little bit too much for me right now, especially with everything that I have coming for this group. It would have been too hard for me to single it off for just a few people when I have a whole lot more people. I just feel like all of the information should just be incorporated, because it's a whole package. So I just discontinued it. and we're just going to rock with the Academy and the Patreon, and everything will be shared through there. Just received a summons yesterday from my homeowner association. They're pursuing foreclosure against me. I'm a little puzzled on how I should move forward with this one. All right, so listen to this. I'm about to go back into the slideshow. Back into the presentation. Pay attention to what I'm saying in the presentation with the notice and presentments. I'm gonna get back into it. Yes, they are also pushing the gay agenda too. And I have nothing against what people choose to do with their life, but if you know where that culture came from, you know that it came from Rome. That's why they're pushing it. It came from Rome. If you do your research and you look up the word mentor and gymnasium, you will realize what those words really mean. A mentor was a person who, or a man, it had to be a man who would get a younger boy to accompany him as his mistress or mistress, whatever, how you say before God. But they would not, they had wives only to carry on their family lineage, but they did not have a sexual attraction to their wives outside of that. And so all of that stuff comes from Rome. And like I said, we have been conquered by Rome. This is why they're trying to get us into this religion and all of that kind of stuff. I definitely understand now. I thought I was lit before, but it keeps getting, I told you, this is the rabbit hole that never ends. Once you, and then this is why you can't go back. You have to dedicate your life to this. You cannot go back. You know too much. And you're going to have to walk around different. Like, you got to walk around like John Wick. You cannot associate with people that don't have this understanding, because you are automatically their enemy. It's this lady, I had to block her. I never even noticed her. She be making all of these videos about me. She's a weirdo. She lay in the bed all day and just fuck with people. I'm not the only one she fuck with, but she just fuck with people who talk about this process because she don't comprehend it. And I had to block her, because if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping first. But secondly, people like that, they automatically are offended with what you're saying because it does not register in their left-brained thinking. It don't register. It's like, what are you talking about? You crazy. But just because it's not registering with you don't mean what I'm saying is not true. All it takes is for you to go pick up a book. And it's books that tell you literally, they telling you what they doing in the book. It's not hidden. This information is not even hidden. It's not even hidden no more. They not even censoring it out no more, because they know most of the people, they did such a good job. They don't have to do that. They don't got to censor this information. They know most people is so deep in the brainwashing spell that they put them under that they're going to do the job of acting in dishonor when people like us who act in honor are present. So it's going to happen. I don't take it personal, because it's just a lack of knowledge. It's just, you're not a part of this. It's okay. You're not a part of this. Look on the back of your contract, homeowners association. It's begun by the builders. Their name is on the back. If you're in process of becoming free, try to get your land patent from county office. Sharice, you the best. That's the perfect example. Perfect advice for, who was that? Terrell. That's the perfect advice for you. You want to get land patent. You definitely want to get a land patent, and they're not hard to get. I have a book in my academy that tells you the steps to getting a land patent. I have never heard or been around any family member that says or know that anyone in the family was a slave. Exactly, because we wasn't. We weren't. We died on the water, because that's why they gave us this "you came across the water" story. They even give the so-called white people the same story, just from a different perspective. Get it? They tell them that they migrated here on boats. They came from Ireland. They came from England. They came just all of Europe, basically. They came over here on boats. Bro, they telling you who you are. That's why it's called history, because it's his story that they telling you. Somebody else wrote these stories. And that's what they are. They're stories. Exactly. They would have not been strong without white teeth. Exactly. They say you are dead. Exactly. They say you dead at sea. You're dead at sea. And the so-called white people came here as slaves, and the so-called black people came here as slaves. So this land just was empty and not occupied. It was just nobody here. Like, come on now. You know how big the Americas is? Do y'all know how big the Americas is? They tell us that Africa is so big, but if you really study maps and you go back to the very beginning of the maps, Africa is not as big as they have been telling you it is. Do y'all know how big the land of milk and honey is, which is the Americas, that where everybody wants to be? They telling you we died at sea. We died coming over here. We died coming over here, and we had to reclaim ourselves. And all that means is the corporation came and killed us off. The corporation made us dead men by combining our first and last names and writing our names in capital letters. It was just that simple when Rome came to conquer. Why was I saying this in the 70s, arguing with, see, because you're chosen. That's why. That's why. You're chosen. For real, no slave ships, but you got the Titanic. You got a whole movie about it. And the Titanic was about bankers. And the bankers want you to know that story because they purposely killed those that were on the Titanic because they were bankers against this fractional banking system. And they got rid of them. JP Morgan Chase, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, those families that's in charge of this banking system now, they killed those bankers because those bankers was against what they are doing now. So they purposely made that ship go down. That's why they tell the story, because they telling you what they did and they bragging about it. It's amazing to me how friends and family get so upset with you when you say the opposite to their conditioning. They just want to defend their oppressors. Like I said, they're acting in dishonor because they have been programmed to do so. And that makes you automatically defensive because, listen, the only way you're going to be defensive is if you are dumb. And that's just the best way I can say it. A dumb person only can resort to emotions because they don't have the knowledge to back up whatever you're saying. So the first thing that happens is defense and emotion. They get upset because they feel like their intelligence is insulted. And it is. And it should be because you're dumb. I need a lie saying 400 years. Right. 400 years of mental slavery for the whole populace, not just the so-called black people, for the entire populace. 400 years of slavery in the mind. It has been that. So, and those 400 years are the amount of time that we have been conquered by Rome. In the Bible, you got the story of Daniel. Is it Daniel? I think it's Daniel. I could be wrong, but the story with Nebuchadnezzar and the statue. Like I said, if y'all want me to do a YouTube live about this information, I can put a beautiful presentation together to like put all of this like and paint the picture even clearer. But the statue of Nebuchadnezzar has different. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Let me see real quick. I want to show y'all. I want to show y'all where we are on that statue. And not this now it makes sense why I had to be a Christian, because the universe, whoever is the creator, knew that my spirit was put here to interpret and break down information. This is why I was born under the sun sign of Virgo, to have an analytical mindset and to fully be born understanding logic. So my right side of my brain, I was born with that open already. My whole goal of going through religion was for me to gain knowledge and to open up and access the right side of my brain so that I could merge the two. So the more that I talk about this, the more that the picture is clearer even for me as to why I'm in the position that I am in today. Because when I was a Christian, I just didn't just take stuff at face value. Like, I was one who actually studied the book. I actually, if I show y'all the notes that I have when I was studying that thing, I understand that book on a level that most do not. And I'm not saying it in a cocky way or anything like that. I'm just telling y'all, like, I get it more than the average. Like, I realize that it is not literal. I do. And I understand that it is a playbook. It is a playbook of the times. Let me see if I can make this. So it's just crazy. This shit's crazy. All right. This is the statue of Nebuchadnezzar from that book. And all right, so if you notice, every part of the statue, the head, the chest and arms, the waist, the legs, and the feet are made from different right? And the goal was for the reign of the Babylonian Empire. And the Babylonian Empire reigned from 605 to 539 BC. All right, so it was the beginning of Babylon. Next is the silver. And another thing, pay attention to how the precious metals degrade with each like as the body goes from the top to the bottom. So the Babylonian Empire is the head, because the Babylonian Empire were when we had our full capacity of what you like the human experience is. All right, this is when we were operating from our crown, when we were operating directly connected to source. This is why it is represented by gold, which is a very high value precious metal that the earth creates. Now we got degraded. So this is when they say we fell from heaven. This is what this means. Also, when the fallen ones and all that kind of stuff, this is what this means. We fell from grace. This is what this is explaining. Now you got this chest and arms, and the chest and arms degraded from gold to silver. We know silver is not as valuable as gold. And that is when the Medo-Persian Empire was in rulership. And that was from 539 to 331 BC. Oh, also, the Golden Babylonian Empire is represented by the lion, which is a very strong animal. Also, pay attention to how the animals change too. Now, the Medo-Persian is represented by the bear. And this is when we were operating from our heart chakra and our solar plexus. So we still was connected, but just not as much. We fell. And then you got this little midsection part right here, like the waist and stuff like that. And it's represented by the precious metal of brass, which is has degraded from gold to silver to brass. And is represented by the Grecian Empire, which is Greece. And they reign from 331 to 168 BC, and is represented by the leopard. Now we know that a leopard is not as strong as a bear, and a bear is not as strong as a lion. This also represents us being operating from our sacral chakra and root chakra, right? Now you have us degrading from gold to silver to brass to iron. And this is when the Romans came in, and they're represented by the dragon. And they're represented by the dragon because when in the Bible, a dragon is the adversary. A dragon is a liar. A dragon is a bad thing, right? In the Bible. And they reigned from 168 BC to AD 476, right? And then they tell you some of the leaders that was out around that time. And they reigned for a long time. They reigned for a very long time. And then we go down to the feet, and they're still reigning, but they're mixed in with clay. It's the divided kingdom. This is the divided kingdom. So to this day, this is where we are. We're at the feet of this statue. And what this means is that when you get to the bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. So the reason why the kingdom is divided is because Rome is sort of losing their power. This is why it's mixed with iron and clay. Rome is losing their power because people like us, who are the return of Christ, are waking back up. And when we fully wake up and fully activate our powers, as in our sovereignty, and take back everything that they took from us, they die. And we go back to gold. We go back to operating from the crown. So I hope that makes sense. Just want to break that down for y'all. They tell us everything without telling us. And it's just really funny to me. Where do we join the group? I'm gonna tell y'all guys. Let me get through this. I went on a tangent. Let me get through this. It's at the end of the slideshow. And the thing on slideshow is loading. Okay. Let me get this screen up. Hold on, guys. I got to get it back on full screen. Oh, go back, come back. How can I get this on full screen? I'm trying to get back on. Every time I go right there, it goes away. Come back. There we go. All right. Let me go through these real quick. How do we claim identity theft again? You need to do a FTC report. Can't we just rescind the power of attorney that we unknowingly gave them when we signed an application trust agreement, then send a power of attorney from a natural man or woman and instruct? You definitely can. I'm going to actually give y'all that. I'm going to give that to y'all. That's in my private community. So you on point, Verdo. You on point. Just like the mask, even though they had permission to take it off, so many people refuse to do so. Exactly. And they still do. It's people still walking around with them on. And that's what's crazy. I need that book. Yeah, it's in my academy. I'll give y'all the information of all of that. Guys, if you sign up for the academy, you will learn so much. Very helpful. I appreciate that, Sharice. Indigenous dark-skinned men and women were already here long before 1608. Exactly. And the sad part about it is that we think that there's a difference because people are different colors. We just evolved because we started mixing and things like that, but we are all pretty much one and the same. And I wish people just get out of that mindset of color, because it's law. That's just law. That's why they got us. Why you think on every one of their forms, when it comes to you identifying yourself, they want to know your race. And they're giving you the choice to do so based off of the programming that they gave you. So you're classifying yourself. Correct. If they were not for the fraud, if they were not for the fraud, they were done away with. Exactly. If you didn't want to get down with the show, you had to get out of here. This is about the bankers on the Titanic. The Gulf of Mexico is major currents of the sea bring warm water to the Atlantic Ocean. Do you have identity theft information in the academy or Patreon? I don't have it in either one. I had did a like a little webinar about that. That's outside of the academy. But like I said, I'm gonna be adding a whole lot of stuff. I just gotta figure out a way to put it where it won't be overwhelming. So I'm working on updating the academy. So bear with me. I'm trying to do it as quick as possible, but it's a lot of stuff. And I just don't want y'all to be like lost. I want it to be clear and cut. Clay over bronze legs. Yep. Exactly. Virgo, what's up, Tessie? If you do not study that book with the ancient etymologies and meanings of mistranslated Latin, Greek, and English, you will never understand it. Facts, Blaine. You won't. You'll get and especially if you're studying it with the education that you got from their system, you definitely won't get it. You definitely won't get it. I love Virgos, much like myself. Leo's intuitive if awakened. That's true. I appreciate that. That is true. I mean, we all have a dark and light side. That also goes back to the alter ego thing, right? We all can be good. We all can be bad. But we can also choose to balance it, because there's a time for war and there's a time for love, right? I'm not going to sit here and act like if you do something to me, I'm going to turn the other cheek, because I damn sure ain't. I'm going to do something back to you. But I'm not going to do it with the intentions to hurt you. I'm doing it with the intentions to teach you. I'm doing it with the intentions to protect myself, right? That's why they say protect your energy. So yeah, clay over iron. We get it, Blaine. You got the picture. Sun, Aries, Moon, and Virgo rising. That's crazy because I'm an Aries moon. I'm an Aries moon, girl. We the opposite. I'm a Sun Virgo, and I'm an Aries moon. I'm a Sagittarius rising. Deep, yes, it's deep, bro. This rabbit hole goes very deep. Exactly, and doing away with affirmative action. So don't ask race. Exactly. And the whole civil rights movement. Like I said, if y'all want me to start doing more documentary style videos, I was already doing it anyway before I even started this. I have another YouTube channel that I don't use anymore, but I was doing documentary style videos around the time of the pandemic, trying to get people to see, like, not to get vaccinated. And they just you know, they was muting my videos and stuff like that. And then so I started this page when I was coming out of Christianity. So if you go look at like the very beginnings of this page, you'll see, like, you can see that transition of me coming out of it through my documentary style videos. So definitely I was searching for my truth, you know. Since awakening, these downloads being what this month, the March has been very tough for me. This Pisces energy, because Pisces is my opposing sign, this Pisces energy has been hitting me all types of ways and getting me to just calm down, sit down, and regroup. And I needed it. But the downloads have been on fire, and it's just been putting so much stuff together. Oh, look, Blaine, you commented at 9:07 p.m. That's my birthday. But the downloads been coming, and it's just, I've been instructed just to just be honest and just tell y'all, like, tell my community like what's real. And that's just honestly, that's really all I can do. I cannot, it's really hard for me to lie because I just don't see the like, I don't see the reason to. Honestly, we're all grown, and if you still lying as an adult, you need to go look, you need to go do some work. Because what we lying for? We come into the table on the same playing field, you know? So I just find it really hard to do that. I've always found it really hard to do that. Plus, another thing about a lie, which is scientific, is you can't tell the same lie twice. So that's how you'll always know if somebody's lying to you. But I digress because I'm going off in a tangent. So I'm going to get back to this. I'm going to finish this presentation. But like I said, if you guys want me to start doing those documentary style videos, really like going into super detail, because I'm very strategic with that, I don't mind. I don't mind doing that at all. All right, so notice in presentments. A presentment is a written demand for payment or for a performance. Presentments addressed to the artificial legal person name are often in all capital letters and or with a fictional title such as Mr. or Miss. They are not addressed to a living man or woman. All presentments that arrive in the post addressed to the artificial legal person name sent by incorporated governments or corporations and are offered of contract and are offers of contract made to the living man or woman. So when you take responsibility of those, you are contracting with them. This is because incorporated governments and corporations are legal fictions, and so they can only contract with other legal fictions. They need a living man or woman to step forward to take responsibility for the liabilities attached to the name. In this way, a private man or woman in their private capacity can contract to act in a public capacity in the role of an artificial legal person name. So you're automatically already private, but you choose to act publicly because of how you've been conditioned. You don't know. Now you do. Every type of artificial legal person, including resident, taxpayer, driver, etc., is a debtor and a surety for the corporate national debt in a debt money system. Most people are unaware of their living standing and unwittingly act enjoinder to the artificial legal person name, which is a creature of the state under statutes. Every presentment to the legal artificial person name is a contract offering a commercial privilege or benefit to a man or woman requiring joinder to the artificial legal person name. Private men and women have an inviolable and unlimited power to contract or not to contract, and therefore can decline a presentment. Your silence is tacit acceptance of a contract, so nothing is gained by ignoring a presentment. If you do not wish to accept any privilege or benefit offered in a presentment, you can return it within 3 working days with a label over the address window, no contract returned to sender. So or you're going to say contract decline, return to sender, which is CDRTS. Remember that a presentment addressed to an artificial legal person name is not addressed to a living man or woman, so it can also be returned, which is addressee not found or unclaimed post article. If you like me to email you the labels, send me an email requesting them at divinetrustbabies07@gmail.com. And this is what they look like. And you'll just get like you don't need the sticky paper, but you could get the sticky, like the sticker size paper and print this on it. Or you could just print them out as they are and just cut them out and tape them to the envelope. but this is what they look like. One of them says, no contract, return to sender. I do not recognize you. I do not understand your intent. I do not wish to contract with you. I do not have an international treaty with you. No assured value. No accepted. No liability accepted. Do not rescind. And the other one says, no contract, return to sender. Again, if you need me to go back and tell you what you're supposed to do, I don't have a problem with that. So listen, if you do not wish to accept any privilege or benefit offered in a presentment, you can return it within 3 working days with a label over the address window. So these labels right here are what you would put over the address window. However, it is more effective to respond with a notice of conditional acceptance. Such a notice rebuts a false claim not by disputing it, but by accepting it upon verification. In this way, you stand in peace and honor, while the burden of proof is on the claimant, where it belongs. If a claimant cannot be verified with evidentiary documents, it cannot be legally or lawfully enforced, and any further claim places that claimant in dishonor, compounding their wrongdoing, making them liable. To inform them of the consequences of their potential liability, you can include a fee schedule in your notice, and ultimately you can invoice them for any breaches, although do not accept them to be honorable. So don't expect them to pay you, because you're going to have to go after them a different way. And that's where private banking comes in, because they may take it off, they may stop coming at you for it, but they're not going to pay up. They don't act in honor. The main reason why they don't act in honor is because they're corporations. So there is no liability on the actual individuals behind the corporation. It is important to keep records of paperwork and postings, including receipts, and to be systematic and patient. If the claimant cannot verify their claim within a reasonable time, which is usually 30 days, they have failed. At this point, you have formed a binding agreement at law in which the claimant has been estopped, which means they are legally or lawfully prevented from further asserting their claim. So this will help with foreclosures, credit card debt, any of those things. It is called estoppel. It's very powerful. When we had our credit repair business, we had a hack that would take everything off your credit using Credit Karma, using a certain clause from law that was estoppel, and it literally would erase the stuff off of your credit. So this shit is real. Even so, legal actors may ignore your notices and continue to send presentments, or they may send intimidating letters and legalese, or they may threaten to pursue legal action in one of their commercial courts, all of which were merely repeated attempts to contract. The relevant maxim of law is, he who leaves the battlefield first loses by default. So if you stop sending letters, if you stop, putting the burden of proof on them, and you give up, and then you lost. So if they stop sending stuff, you won. Perseverance is the key to success. So if you are not one of those people who have that type of perseverance with this, then don't do this. That's like everybody who is doing car contract rescission and they think it's supposed to happen overnight. No, this is a back and forth battle. They are going to ignore you. They are going to annoy you. They're going to do all types of things to get you to leave the battlefield, basically, so that you can lose. But you have to be consistent. You have to persevere through this mess, because the corporations are not going to act in honors. You have to force them to do so. And again, like I said, to collect your abandoned funds, you're going to do the private banking route, because you can't go after them as the all caps person now. You have to create entities who can do that for you. And these entities are outside of their jurisdiction. You can serve 1 30-day notice, including any estoppel, as a minimum process for ordinary alleged debts. So you send those 1 day, 30-day estoppel, those 30-day estoppels to these companies that are coming after you, and I promise you they'll leave you alone. I promise you shit'll change. And then when you become a private banker, it'll be easier for you to go after them to collect the abandoned funds. Or you can serve three notices at least 10 days apart, concluded by a separate estoppel notice as a maximum process for significant alleged debts to incorporate government agencies, banks, or corporations. Notice in the presentment. 1. When we deal with the corporation, we need someone to take liability for that corporation. Therefore, we need the real name of the man or woman who is making the claim. 2, your notice is private and must be addressed to the real name of the man or woman in their private capacity. Otherwise, it will be less effective or ignored. So you're going to go after those CEOs of these companies directly. Y'all wanted to take that role and position. Now you're going to be held liable. Not my fault that you want to take up for American Express. Not my fault you want to take up for Capital One. It's not my fault that you chose to play that role. So since you're in the role of the chief executive officer, I'm coming for you, because I can't come for the corporation. But I know that you represent the corporation. To ensure that someone acting for the corporation is made liable, you're going to use notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Notice to principal is notice to agent, excuse me. Including without prejudice ensures that the contents cannot be used against you in any legal lawful action at a later date. You always want to autograph your name and use without prejudice, because it's nothing that you can do to me now or later when I autograph that way. 5, a presentment must be responded with within 3 working days. They may date it ahead of the postmark to make you slow. To make you too slow. So state in your notice when their presentment was received. You have to say that. I received a presentment on March 20th. Okay. Just you're going to be letting them know that you let them know when you received it, basically. Number 6, your notice must be sent by registered mail, as it is a negotiable instrument, which is a prohibited item, via other postal methods, including courier post signature required. And we don't have to talk about that because we're not in New Zealand. But if anybody is in New Zealand that is watching this video, because this all pertains to you guys too, the registered post service has been withdrawn. So the only service option is courier post signature required. So I know it's a lot of people here that may watch the video, or it's people that be coming to me that be from different countries. So in case you are here or you watch this video at a later time, this is also relevant to you if you're under a Commonwealth, corporation. Can't even say country. Number 7, their address must be a physical street address and not a P.O. box, because we are noticing someone real at their real location. So you're going to look up the CEO of those companies and you're going to get the corporate headquarters address, no P.O. boxes. And the mail sent via a corporate P.O. box is often ignored. Yes, because they feed. I know I told you guys this a million times, but for those of you who may not know, when you send notices to P.O. boxes, they feed it through a system called EOSCAR, which is all AI. There's no human involvement. So you don't want that, because they'll just that computer will classify your notice of presentment. They will classify that as frivolous. So you'll be ignored. And number 8, after writing and printing, turn it over and affix a 5-cent postage stamp to the lower right corner. Stamp or write the date over it and scribe your autograph over it. This prevents it from becoming an inchoate instrument, which they can complete in order to use this autograph on the front to create money. So keep that in mind. Anytime that you are autographing something, you want to get that stamp on there, and you want to do that. That's a part of the UPU, the postage treaty, or yeah. So you definitely want to use those stamps. So a 5-cent stamp on the lower right corner, you stamp or write the date over it and scribe your autograph over it. Okay, so they cannot create a negotiable instrument off of your autograph. You are legally/lawfully the postmaster, and they cannot interfere with the post, because that is mail fraud, and they can get in big trouble for that. You became the postmaster by doing this. I'm currently working on this process for myself. I have sent off notices to a few companies. Once I get remedy, I will share the info on what I did and what happened. So just be patient, as I am always the test dummy to let you know if something's a go or not. If you like the way I present this information and would like to hear more detailed teachings, consider joining my private community. All of the costs for my private communities are merely donations to keep me doing this, because I gotta survive too until we get to the end of this. And it's just like a way of you saying thank you for what I'm doing. So all of my prices are cost effective. Nothing is over $100. Nothing is even close to that. But it's just like a donation. So if you want to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/divine trust babies. Becoming a patron allows you to get this information but work independently. If you would like to just purchase content, courses, or anything like that, you can go to linktr.com/divine trust babies, and you can just buy courses that are already put together. I'm very detailed. I don't leave anything out. So if you already see that now, imagine a course or content or a study session with my private community. Like, I go into detail about stuff. If you want to get step by step and you want like full support with examples and stuff like that, or you're a person that needs a school setting to get this process done, you can consider joining my DTB Academy at divine-trust-babies trainercentralsite.com/courses/divine trust babies academy. I have to find a way to shorten these URLs, but until I figure that out, that's what it is. And if you just want to access any of my past study sessions and you don't want to join any of those things, you can access those at divine-trust-babies.trainercentralsite.com/course/study-sessions-replays. I'm going to leave that up there for a while. Let me go in the comments really quick so if you guys can see it. Let's see. Avery labels. Yes, that's what they call Avery labels. If you want to print those out on a sticky, those labels out on a sticky. And I told you guys, if you want those labels, send me an email requesting them and I'll give them to you. We can sign up for a private banker. We can sign up for the private banker even though one hasn't completed it. Yes, you can. You still can do that because it's a process with that as well. So just like it's a process with status correction, it's a process with private banking. I'm working on adding a new course in the academy for you guys to get those steps. Trust me, it's going to be even more. You all know how I am. If you're already with me, you know how detailed I am. It's going to be so detailed. I'm working on it now. And I'm really like putting the picture together for you guys of why you even want to be private. Is without recourse means the same as without prejudice? So yeah, pretty much. Treaty. Yep. Can you have post office cancel out the stamps? Also, you sure can. You can also cancel out. I mean, you're canceling the stamp out yourself though when you do it that way, which is more powerful than the post office doing it because you're the postmaster now. When the post office does it, you're invoking them as postmaster. Much gratitude to you once again. No problem. No problem. Thank you for rocking with me, Anthony. Do you have an IG? Unfortunately, I don't. I only have TikTok and YouTube. I'm really not a fan of Instagram and Facebook. So honestly, I took myself off all social medias, but then I had made a TikTok page and I had started talking about this for myself and just people just liked how I presented it and they requested me to start this. So that's kind of how this beautiful thing began. But other than that, like I don't have Instagram. I don't even know if I want to make one. If TikTok gets banned, this is where you'll find me on YouTube and in my private community. Go get my motherfucking stamp. Oh, should I got to get my okay. Yeah, get you a stamp. Definitely get you a stamp for your autograph so that you anytime you get into these contracts, you know how to you don't have to use your hands to autograph, and your autograph is always going to be reserving your rights. But even if you don't have it, you still can do it with writing or typing. Gratitude. Can't wait. I really appreciate y'all. I do. What you think about them banning TikTok? Honestly, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think that's a scare tactic as with everything they tell us. Because if you want to be technical, they tell us that China owns TikTok, but we all know after doing research, you can go do some easy Googling research and you'll realize they don't. They own a stake in TikTok. The United States owns a stake. was it Vanguard owns a stake, BlackRock owns a stake, and Bank of America owns a stake. And where the issue is coming in is that these American corporations want to own TikTok as a whole. And so China is not trying to allow them to do that. And so that's where it's coming in, where they're like, oh, well, if we can't get it from you, then we'll ban it, So I honestly don't think they're going to do it. However, I do feel like they will probably censor things even more than they already have, which is why I kind of been shying away from posting on there, because the censorship is too much. So YouTube has been a lot more flexible, especially because I'm not monetized. Because once you monetize is when they start putting all of these restrictions on you and censoring your videos and stuff. But the thing about it is that they won't push you as much when you're not monetized. So my page isn't growing as fast as I would like it to, but I don't care. I just don't want to be controlled. I want to be able to say what I want. I don't want them to pay me. I'm not one of their employees. I had sent a letter and affidavit to the CEO of Capital, and they ignored me and sent it to collections. I was eventually able to get this collection taken off. Yes, collections are one of the easiest things to take off. This is not an affidavit, however. The notice it's a completely different notice than you've ever seen before, because it's a private notice. So it's not an affidavit, is public. Just keep that in mind. And it's also using legalese, which we want to kind of avoid. So this notice is completely different than anything you've ever seen. I personally, when I came across it, I was like, whoa, this is definitely strong. It's about estoppel. So like I told you, estoppel is the real deal. When I was doing credit repair, we used that to get people credit cleaned instantly. We was doing sweeps like instantly. When I tell you instantly, I mean it. Like, people didn't believe it, so we used to get one thing erased off their credit for free just to show them that it worked. Many shareholders for TikTok are here. Yes, for sure. Yep, that's facts. Yeah, for real. Many shareholders for TikTok. Yes. So don't be fooled by what they tell you in Congress and all of that stuff. I don't believe TikTok is going anywhere. I just believe they're trying to get us to be distracted another way, because that's all they know how to do. Got my fencing. That's right. We waiting. I got mine too. That's right. Your beneficial owner. What about a charge off on credit report? Can that get removed immediately? It can. It can. Yes, it can. And the thing is, once you clean this credit up, don't use your social security number ever again to acquire anything. Like I said, I'm working on the private banking section and discharging debt section of the new course that I'm adding to my academy. I'm trying to get it done as quick as possible, but I don't want to rush it because I don't want to leave anything out. But I will definitely be keeping you guys posted as to when that is available for you all. But definitely, there's a way to do everything. You just have to have the knowledge. And I promise y'all, I be neglecting some of my other stuff for this. How you get open-ended credit with a company? Becoming a private banker. Becoming a private banker. That's right. Everything is a process. That's 100% correct. So I need you guys to be patient and to use this as take it as a journey, right? Because at the end, when you get to the end, you're going to appreciate the journey more than anything. You can use CPNs. I personally do that. I use a CPN until you get your EINs. You definitely can. I personally use a CPN when I acquire things. However, because people have been using CPNs incorrectly, sometimes, a CPN is not always what you want it to be. So you have to make sure that it's set up correctly. That is something that I'm willing to give you guys for free too. I already tell y'all I got 3 CPN books. If you want them, hit me up in my email and I'll give them to y'all. Just hit me up and request it and I'll send them to y'all. The donations are greatly appreciated. They're not required, but they're greatly appreciated. Divine, you are divine. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate that. Thank you. And look, the name I don't even know where the name came from. I used to do hair and I had a hair business and I had rebranded myself to Queen Mother. And then when I got this, when I got on TikTok, the divine just came out of nowhere. It's all about fear with them. TikTok is powered by blacks and driving the knowledge across the world. I'm trying to tell you, we so busy pointing the finger at the so-called white man, and it's them so-called black men that be. I'm trying to tell y'all. Do any of your classes help with UCC1 guidance? Everything from the whole entire process. Everything that I show is the entire process from the beginning to the end. And it's not something that you still gonna have questions about. I mean, the questions you may have is very minor, but everything is straight and cut clean to the point. Like, I make it so clear. I give examples. I give you the why. All of that. So definitely. And then if it is something that you're unclear on, I don't do consultations. So those in my private community have a direct line to question. They just submit their questions, and when we do study sessions, I give them the answers and stuff like that. So I just try to like help out as much as possible. And thanks for watching. I go live on YouTube every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 Central Time, and 8:30 Eastern Time. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be reminded every time I go live, because the more you engage, the more I will share. I don't have a problem with sharing the knowledge. I just need y'all to show me that y'all appreciate it. And that's just how I am. The more appreciation that I see from what I'm giving, I give more. So I just have to know that I'm not doing this in vain. When is a UCC1 class? I don't have a UCC class, but I do have a course about how to do it. Also in my academy, I have the steps on how to do it as well. I don't have a class about it though. To be honest, the UCC is much simpler than a lot of people are saying. So I simplified it. I have more than one UCC1 filing as well too. So it's pretty simple. But gratitude and grace, rest well. Oh, thank you, Sharice. I appreciate you guys, and I will be back next Wednesday. Again, you guys have the information on how to join my academy or any of my private communities if you choose to. If you want those labels, you don't have to join nothing. If you want the labels, you want free information, I give that out as well. Just email me. I put my email in the chat, request it, and I will give you a plethora of things that I personally studied myself to get you started. If you want to do it independently, I am all for people seeking knowledge, regardless if you choose to support me or not. So if that is something you're interested in, you want those labels, you want the information, whatever, definitely just shoot me an email and I got you. And I appreciate you guys for lending me your time, your essence, and your energy. And I am out. I will see you guys next Wednesday. And for those of you that are in my private community, I will see you guys on Sunday. Have an abundant rest of your week, and I'll see you later.